Hopefully I have enough battery power. I've only got 1/4 left of battery power, so let's hope we can get through this without rushing it too much. I've got part 50 here. Line 5, Alien UFO SETI well, Cassini-Huygens probe, Titan, Moon, Saturn, Pioneer 11, and Aquila. Those are the topics. So the calculations is 1, 1, 1. So we've got 1 divided by 1 divided by 1 is equals to 1. And I Google 1 and allography comes up. And that's the quantachrome articles, bioceramics, synthetic options. Some sort of PDF file comes up. And it doesn't want to open. Okay, never mind. So penetrometers are used on space probes such as the Cassini-Huygens probe to measure the amount of moisture in soil on other planets. So I didn't know what this meant. So this came up. That's the probe there. There's our well signal here. This is the artist concept of Cassini. That's Cassini right there, and that gives you the information. It does a flyby of Jupiter, Venus, Earth, Saturn's moons, and Saturn. So as we go into this, the probe landed on Saturn's moon Titan on January 14, 2005, where it descended and started sending information for the scientists to study. It is the first spacecraft to orbit Saturn and the 4th spacecraft to visit Saturn. Now, Saturn, I think, is close to the area that we're looking in, because some of our signals come from that direction, but don't quote me on that. Okay? This was really funny. Is something called Pioneer 11 comes up. And this is a robotic space probe launched by NASA on April 6, 1973. Notice the date. It was sent out into space in 1973, and we received that SETI message in 1977, right? 4 years later. To study the asteroid belt, the environment around Jupiter and Saturn, solar wind, cosmic rays, and eventually the far reaches of the solar system and heliosphere. It was the first probe to encounter Saturn and the second to fly through the asteroid belt and by Jupiter. Due to power constraints and the vast distance of the probe, communication has been lost since November 30th, 1995. We haven't heard a thing from this probe since November 30th, 1995, and that's a shame. It's in a really good area. But that's what it looks like. You know, details, you can look it up on Wikipedia. So it says Pioneer is a 259 kilogram, 569 pound robotic space probe launched by NASA April 6, 1972 to study the asteroid belt. And I just kind of repeated everything I just told you. Okay, so let's go to my thoughts here. One of the stars' names on my chart is for Saturn 11. Okay, so let's go back to my star, right? Remember the star I drew? There's Saturn 11 right there. Okay? And, oh God, let's have the fun of finding where we were. Line 5. Okay. Okay. Now as I Google this number to see if anything special comes out with it, I find a satellite named Pioneer 11. How interesting that it was flying towards the star constellation of Sagittarius and Aquila northwest, exactly in the same area as the WOW signal being detected in 1977. Communication with it stopped November 30th, 1995. Even more interesting is that scientists in the Ukraine have found a radio telescope signal crossing from Pegasus over towards Sagittarius. Wouldn't it be cool if it was this lost satellite sending out messages that it was picking up from the alien UFOs and planets near the Kepler Solar System? I would look at the data and see if there's some sort of code number in it to identify if that radio signal has anything to do with Pioneer 11. SETI and NASA need to see my video, Part 41, Quasar Radio Space Transmission, Ukraine, GR 2148 plus 11, Maus Pegasus M15 Homen Planet. For more details about this unknown signal that I found marked Google Sky in the first week of January 2012, after I have marked my planets, stars, and what I think of UFOs on there. Okay, the spacecraft is headed towards the constellation of Aquila, the Eagle, northwest of the constellation of Sagittarius, and that's about Pioneer 11. There's Pioneer 11, so there's the Sagittarius down here, there's Hercules up here, and that's where the whale signal, this is the wild signal, and Pioneer 2 is northwest of Saturn, 2.5 AO per year. Okay. This is Pioneer in 10 and 11 instruments. That's what it looks like. You can Google this up. Tells you all the things it can do. Asteroid, meteoroid experiment, Geiger tube telescope, infrared radiometer, trapped radiation detector, cosmic ray telescope, meteoroid detector, helium vector, magnetometer, ultraviolet photometer, charged particle instrument, imaging photopolarimeter, plasma analyzer. Okay. Pioneer 11 was launched on April 5th, 1973. It was passed within 43,000 kilometers of Jupiter on December 2nd, 1974. On September 1st, 1979, Pioneer 11 became the first spacecraft to visit Saturn. The spacecraft passed within 20,000 kilometers of the planet's atmosphere. Pioneer 11 is currently on an interstellar trajectory and is traveling at 2.5 AU per year. The last communication with Pioneer 11 was made in 1995. And that's from the historicspacecraft.com. If you look on probes, Pioneer probes, you'll find out. And that's what it looks like. Okay. So we made it. We are good. Line 5 was successfully videotaped.